Welcome to my review series for the Nancy Drew Files. I'm Michael Gray. The Files series started in the 1980s when Nancy Drew got new owners. It's designed for older, more mature readers, which means Nancy makes out with Mr. Gray in this book. Not me, a different Mr. Gray.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
Nancy's going undercover as a high school student in order to catch a thief. Her contact is Daryl Gray, the amazingly handsome student body president. Daryl shows Nancy around a bit, but they're too busy flirting with each other to get any investigation done. Nancy meets all the various characters of the book. Walt Hogan, the football star, Connie Watson, the shy girl, and Carla, the mean cheerleader who wasn't important enough to make it into the video game. Carla gives Nancy bad directions, and she ends up in the boiler room, where Walt is arguing with a student named Jake Webb. Jake is a huge slimeball who blackmails other students, gets close to Nancy, and puts his finger on her lips. Only Daryl is allowed to do that! After school, Nancy and Connie watch the football practice. Connie is sad that all the cheerleaders don't like her, and she kind of has a crush on Walt.
And it's basically a soap opera.
In history class, Nancy meets the smartest student in school, Hal Morgan. At least everyone says he's smart. I'm not so sure, because he copies off of Nancy during a pop quiz, even though there's no way she can know any of the answers because she's a new student and this is her first time in the class. So he copies off of the one person who's guaranteed to fail. Doesn't sound like a smart guy to me. When Nancy leaves school, she discovers that Jake has cut the brakes on her car. She crashes into the side of the road and the car explodes. Get used to that, you'll be seeing lots of explosions in this series. Well, we've pretty much proven that Jake is the culprit, but before Nancy can confront him, Jake is murdered. Dun dun dun. At this point, we meet Nancy's new rival, Brenda Carlton. Brenda is an incompetent reporter who usually makes dumb mistakes and messes everything up. Nancy and Brenda make a deal. If Brenda leaves Nancy alone, she'll give Brenda an exclusive interview when the investigation is over. Nancy goes to the school's video lab. For some reason, the lab has a shelf just for music videos. Hidden among the tapes is Jake's video. It's a video he's been using to blackmail everyone. The video's got footage of Connie stealing a bracelet, Walt trying to cover up an injury, and Hal stealing SAT answers from the counselor's office. Okay, hold on a second. Why does the school counselor have the SAT answer booklets? Why do they keep the SAT answers inside an unlocked office where any student can get to them? And if Hal Morgan is the smartest student in the school, why does he walk around with stolen books in public instead of hiding them in a bag or something? It's almost like he wanted to get caught by Jake's hidden camera. The next day, Nancy's father surprises her with a brand new Mustang GT convertible. Wow, Carson Drew is really generous and understanding. If my car got blown up during college, my dad would have grounded me for a year. Nancy tries to pressure the suspects, but they refuse to talk. Daryl and Nancy go to her house where they re-watch the tape in hope of finding some new clues. The two of them start making out on Nancy's couch, because apparently blackmail is a huge turn-on for both of them. Alas, the romance ends when Nancy sees the end of the tape. There's a scene of Daryl Gray picking up an envelope from an Air Force base. He delivers the envelope to a house belonging to the Soviet Union. Dun dun dun. Oh, that's right. This book was written during the Cold War. Nancy has a big car chase with the Soviets, and Bess figures out a way to escape. Go to a local pizza parlor. It's too crowded for the villains to get away with shooting Nancy. Also, they can get some pizza while they're there. Good plan, Bess. Nancy comes up with a plan to get Daryl to confess to his crimes. Step number 1 is to ask him what's going on, and no, Nancy's plan is much more ridiculous. Step 1, go to the school dance with Daryl. Step 2, make out with Daryl in his car for a bit. Step 3, Ask Daryl what's going on. Nancy, why didn't you start by asking him what's going on? Was it really necessary to make out with him first? Yes, it was. The extra ridiculous part is that Nancy's boyfriend Ned is there. She asked Ned to watch them the whole time, just in case Daryl got violent. So Nancy knew her boyfriend was watching, and she still made out with Daryl. I can't believe Nancy thought it was a good idea to make out with another guy right in front of her boyfriend. The makeout plan works, and Daryl confesses that the murderer is a man named Mitch Dylan. They set up a plan to catch Dylan. First, Nancy makes out with Daryl, and no, wrong plan. The plan is to have Daryl trick Dylan into confessing, while Nancy secretly records everything on a video camera. Sadly, Brenda appears and messes up the entire plan. Dylan pulls out a gun and holds her hostage, and we have a big fight with Daryl, Ned, and Bess's guitar-playing boyfriend. Dylan is arrested for murder, and we have a happy ending where everything ends up okay for the blackmail victims. Brenda's story makes it on the front page of the paper, and Ned decides he's going to keep dating Nancy. Because it doesn't matter if his girlfriend cheats on him right in front of him. He's a spineless jellyfish. The end. Postbook follow-up. This is actually my second review for this book. I decided to redo my original review because it was over 40 minutes long and it had awkward sequences of me reading from the book, like this.
Daryl's incredible eyes kept straying to Nancy every time Mr. Parton mentioned her name. And when the principal said something about Daryl showing Nancy the ropes, Daryl's mouth curved into a slow, teasing grin. Nancy couldn't help returning it. The attraction between them crackled like electricity. Nancy wondered how Mr. Parton could possibly miss the sparks, but he seemed oblivious to everything but his problem. He went on and on. As Nancy tuned out the principal's voice, she tuned into the beautiful face before her.
The adventure sequences are okay. I didn't care for the sequence in the video lab, and the car chase with the Soviet spies was poorly executed. The best adventure sequence was the one at the end of the book where they fought the killer. Saving the most intense sequence for the climax of the book is a good idea. Some of the characters in this book are not fleshed out. Walt Hogan and Hal Morgan only talk to Nancy twice, which really detracts from their usefulness as characters. The subplot with Carla hating Nancy was interesting, but it doesn't really affect the story. Overall, I would say this is a pretty solid Nancy Drew book. The plot twist of Jake being killed at the end of the first third was well executed, although I find it a little convenient that Nancy immediately finds evidence to prove Jake is guilty. Still, it's not a bad effort for a new Nancy Drew series. At least it doesn't have anything ridiculous, like a mystery about destroyed zucchini. I give Nancy Drew Files number 1, Secrets Can Kill, an 8 out of 10.